breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
And that breaking news involves the new saga, a new lawsuit filed in the Pool Hall saga involving NC State. The new information you'll hear first right here in WRAL.
And professor reinstated. UNC Chapel Hill reverses course after placing a faculty member on leave.
And what a pretty afternoon. There are a few folks here at Fitton playing.
And this is into the WRAL Live Center. This man is a former Raleigh police officer. This noon hour, he's facing sex charges. His name is Tramel Cogdale. The SBI made the arrest. Here's what we've been able to ascertain. He is facing a number of charges, including unlawful, willfully, and felonious, did obstruct justice by failing to conduct and charge a DWI investigation in exchange for sexual favors. He is in custody as a result of this case. The SBI, again, had made an arrest. Back here in the WRAL Live Center, we just got word from the SBI that they're having a joint press conference with Raleigh Police at 12:30. We have a crew on the way to that scene, and we'll bring you any new information as we get it at the bottom of the hour.
All right, thank you, Ken. President Donald Trump is sending an ultimatum to Hamas to respond to his Gaza peace plan. In a social media post, the president said the terror group has until 6 p.m. this Sunday to agree to the proposal or, quote, all hell like no one has ever seen before will break out. Trump introduced the 20-point plan alongside Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House. Netanyahu said during their joint appearance that Israel agreed to the framework, which spells out an end to the war, the release of hostages, and a redevelopment plan. And new information this noon about the deadly attack at a synagogue in northern England. Authorities say one of the people killed appears to have been accidentally shot by a police officer as worshippers tried to stop the attacker entering the building. British police also identified the shooter as 35-year-old Jihad al-Shami, the British citizen born in Syria, came to the UK at a young age. Officers are still trying to understand his exact motivations. 3 other people have been arrested on suspicion of preparing an act of terrorism. Meanwhile, Russia launched its biggest attack of the war overnight against natural gas facilities across Ukraine today. Russia fired a total of 381 drones and 35 missiles at Ukraine in an attempt to destroy the Ukrainian power grid ahead of winter. Ukraine says it is in an attempt to weaponize winter by denying civilians heat, light, and running water. Russia has also escalated strikes on the power grid as well as on Ukraine's rail network, which is essential for military transport. Well, cleanup is underway on the Outer Banks after 8 homes collapsed into the ocean. Hurricanes Umberto and Imelda did not directly hit the East Coast, but they still caused some pretty serious damage. Liz McLaughlin shows us the efforts to clean up the debris.
This is the scene for miles here in Buxton. You can see lumber, pieces of insulation, even appliances just strewn about the beach. There's actually a smell, a mix of sewage and fuel. Just a reminder that these homes don't just disappear into the ocean when they fall. National Park Service and construction crews are out this morning starting to pick up the pieces. Each collapse scatters debris across the beach, some septic tanks submerged and spilling sewage. Some of that washes into the surf, threatening marine life, while the rest has to be hauled away to landfills. The National Park Service crews are considered essential, still working despite the government shutdown. The remnants of these homes stretch well beyond collapse sites, and researchers are using LiDAR and other tools to track how erosion is reshaping the coastline. And more homes on the brink behind me. The deck and pilings on this green one shifting from just last night, and with more king tides in the forecast next week, more homes could fall here. In Buxton, I'm Liz McLaughlin, WRAL News.
Tonight's Bojangles game of the week sees 5-1 Clayton visit 4-2 Southeast Raleigh. The Comets have the lock so far in conference play, where they are 2-0. Southeast needs this win to stay in that conversation. WRAL's Pat Welter will be there with all the top plays, and Chris Lee breaks down the best of a dozen more games on Football Friday tonight at 11:15. If you have any plans to be outside this evening, I think you're going to like it. It's going to be beautiful. Meteorologist Elizabeth Garner tracking some some gorgeous weather right now.
Yep, fabulous for Football Friday. We'll take a look at the temperatures at game time coming up in just a few minutes. But I couldn't resist pulling up Wilson, where the whirligigs are. We've had breezy conditions all week long with those tropical systems sitting offshore. Not quite as windy today, but you can see the whirligigs moving around. When I pulled this up originally, there were a whole bunch of people walking around just enjoying our beautiful day. Right now it is 69 at RDU, and so 69 around the triangle. Our dew point is a nice low 53. That number means that it feels very comfortable outside. We're moving up to, say, 75 for the high this afternoon, and then right back down. By the time we get to 7 o'clock, temperatures are back into the 60s. So if you have evening plans, you may want to take a sweater or a light jacket along with you. Our winds are coming out of the north at around 5 to 10, maybe even in some places 15 miles per hour. Notice we're 13 steady in Goldsboro, 14 steady in Fayetteville. The steady winds are in the blue box on the right, and over here, on the left. Get my left and rights correct. The white box on the right is where we're seeing gusts. So we're gusting up to almost 20 there in Goldsboro. Earlier when I pulled that up, Fayetteville was gusting to about 17. So we'll be gusting 15 to 18 miles per hour through the afternoon, but those winds should die down later on this evening. 75 in Raleigh, 73 Durham, and 77 in Fayetteville for highs this afternoon. All this cool air comes courtesy of a high pressure system that's well to our north. High pressure systems rotate clockwise, so that high has been pushing nice cool air into our region. The blue shaded areas where temperatures are below normal, and then approaching front comes along by the middle of next week, and ahead of that our winds will shift to southerly, and that starts a warm up for us. Really Monday and Tuesday we'll notice the difference. 57 is our normal low. We were down into the upper 40s for the first time since the end of April this morning. Looking at mid 50s overnight tonight, and then we're back into the 60s Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But it's still cool enough tonight to leave the windows open. Some open window sleeping weather. Looks like it's definitely a good thing for tonight. 78 is our normal high. Over the weekend, we climbed to 80 Sunday and then low 80s on Monday and Tuesday. And we'll see a bump up in the humidity as well Monday and Tuesday as that next front gets closer to us. But in the meantime, the weekend is looking fabulous. Game time temperatures for Football Friday will be in the low 70s, but by 9 or 10, as the games wrap up, temperatures drop into the 60s, so take along your team sweatshirt. You'll probably be happy that you have it. Outdoor plans, definitely a green light both days. Now, Sunday might be a little more cloudy than Saturday, but still just looks lovely. We'll see 79 Saturday and 80 on Sunday. Again, next best chance of rain comes late Tuesday into Wednesday and Thursday. I'll show you the timeline coming up in just a bit.
All right, thanks, Elizabeth. Coming up on WRAL News at 4, leaf collection controversy. A decision to change how leaves are collected in Chapel Hill is upsetting a number of residents. We'll tell you why. And at 5:30, sewage under a sink, coffee creamer in a chili container. Just 2 of the violations we'll be reporting in this week's restaurant ratings. And still ahead this noon hour, beauty bias in the workplace, how it could impact your ability to climb the corporate ladder. And in the know, now customers can track packages and manage mail with a swipe of an app. The U.S. Postal Service has launched a new app to keep customers informed about when certain mail is on the way. The new Informed Delivery mobile app lets customers manage letter-sized mail and packages from any place. It gives push notifications for updates on incoming mail and has a biometric login for security. There's also enhanced package tracking capabilities, including scanning tracking numbers and barcodes. It is available on the Apple App Store and Google Play. Well, Cary-based Epic Games is teaming up with Netflix. Characters from the hit animated movie K-pop Demon Hunters have been added to Fortnite. Fans can now fight evil alongside the members of Huntrix. You can also create games based on the movie. The new Demon Rush mode is available through November 1st. Well, have you ever wondered why some people seem to get more opportunities simply because of their looks? The conscious or unconscious preference for attractive leaders is called beauty bias. Chanley Painter reveals how much your looks may influence your ability to become a leader at work.
Turns out your looks may impact your potential to get promotions. That's according to research from business experts at Texas A&M University.
It is more pervasive than what we had thought before.
According to management professor Stephen Courtwright, beauty bias can play a large role in whether people become leaders at work.
Why? Because we look to attractiveness as a signal of one's warmth and one's competence. In other words, are you good with people and are you good at your job?
Analysts say men and women can be equally affected as they climb the corporate ladder.
People really lend a lot of credence to good looks when they're selecting their leaders, even though what we find and what's been found in past studies, it has no relation to leader effectiveness whatsoever. And so we actually look at looks more than things that actually count, like intelligence and certain personality traits, and much more than even things that don't count, like gender, that we talk about more.
But when it comes to looks, Professor Courtwright says there's not a lot you can control besides looking as professional as you can for the job you have. Courtwright recommends
if you feel like that you're lower on attractiveness, then overcompensate, if you will, by displaying both warmth and competence. And that can help propel you.
That was Chanley Painter reporting. And while researchers say beauty bias exists across many different industries, they say superficial traits become less of a focus as time goes on. Well, former officer arrested. We are standing by waiting for a joint news conference with the SBI and Raleigh Police Department. We have a crew waiting to bring you that live. And more fallout from the Cracker Barrel logo change. We'll tell you about the new move the company just made after the backlash from the now abandoned logo change. And here are your winning NC Education lottery numbers. Good luck.
Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Breaking news, we are standing by for a joint news conference from the Raleigh Police Department and the SBI. It involves former police officer Tremal Cogdill. WRAL Sean Gallagher standing by, waiting for it to begin. But we begin with Ken Smith in the WRAL Live Center with the charges, Ken.
And this is all new right here, only on WRAL. You're seeing this. And let's walk our viewers through exactly what we're talking about here. This is the officer we're talking about, Tremal Cogdill. SBI agents arrested him for an incident that happened on September 12th. Now, here are the charges that this former officer is facing. Sex act of a government worker and a private person. He is charged with feloniously engaging in a sexual act with someone in his custody. At the same time, he's also charged with obstructing justice. He is accused of feloniously obstructing justice by failing to conduct and file charges in a DWI investigation as a result of in exchange for sexual acts. So again, RPD is holding a press conference right now. It just got started. This is the PIO for Raleigh Police Department. We have a crew there on the scene following up on that press conference, and that's Chief Boyce right now. And as soon as we get any new information, we'll bring it to you here in the WRAL Live Center. Of course, we'll have additional reporting starting at 4 on WRAL.
All right, Ken, thank you. Let's listen into this for a minute with Chief Boyce.
Investigation Director Hawley, for coming here to join me to share this information in such short notice. Thank you, Director. What I'm about to share with you today is both troubling and disgraceful. On September 26, the State Bureau of Investigation contacted me here at the Raleigh Police Department and informed me that they were conducting a criminal investigation into one of our officers, later identified as a Mr. Tremal, Tremale, Cogdell, Cogdell. The investigation revealed that during the early morning hours on September 12, 2025, Mr. Cogdell encountered a victim during a crash investigation here in Raleigh. After completing a call for service, Mr. Cogdell drove the victim back to his personal residence in his City of Raleigh police vehicle, and a sexual encounter occurred while Mr. Cogdell was on duty. On the same day we were notified of this investigation, Mr. Cogdell was immediately placed on administrative leave, and we began an internal investigation that paralleled the criminal investigation already underway by the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation. This morning, Mr. Cogdell was terminated by the Raleigh Police Department. In coordination with the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation, Mr. Cogdell was arrested and processed on the following charges: felony obstruction of justice, misdemeanor willful neglect of duties, and felony sexual misconduct of a person in custody. I want to applaud the victim for coming forward in this case and offer my heartfelt support to her, her family, and to anyone who has been affected by this deeply disturbing incident.
And you are listening to Chief Rico Boyce talking about Raleigh Police and the SBI's investigation into Officer Tremail Cogdell. They say he was arrested and released. He was arrested under many different charges. We will continue to follow the story online and on air. More breaking news, another major twist in the Poe Hall saga that we first told you about on WRAL. Attorneys representing NC State alumni and students tell WRAL News they believe the university altered or destroyed evidence tied to the chemical contamination inside Poe Hall. Today, they filed a motion asking the court to make sure NC State preserves all evidence. The university closed Poe Hall nearly 2 years ago after testing revealed cancer-causing chemicals. Just this week, NC State filed its own lawsuit against Monsanto, blaming the company for the contamination. WRAL's Keely Arthur has reached out to the NC State for comment. This is a developing story. We'll have much more tonight on WRAL and on WRAL.com. In Rocky Mount, city and state leaders have known about financial challenges in the city for years. New documents show several rounds of back and forth between the city and state about Rocky Mount's money troubles. Now, Rocky Mount has 10 months to find $30 million. At a community meeting about the budget last night, residents shared a lot of frustration. A lot of people there say they feel like they're paying for the city's mistake. But council member Jabaris Walker says it's time to look forward.
I would have done a lot of things different. A few things I would have definitely done different. But you asked all the questions. You asked them. We asked them. As a council, from the mayor's office, we asked those questions. This is what we was presented. We really felt and thought every decision we made was for the betterment of the city.
Put up, and if we somewhat manage.
The documents that we obtained do not explain how the city's savings dropped from $100 million down to $20 million in 2 years. That's what city leaders are trying to figure out. Hurry up and wait. Most people harbor traffic and long lines in the drive-thru, but researchers say it could be good for you. And the power of branding. Cracker Barrel makes a bold move after a failed rebranding effort. We'd love to connect with you online. Follow WRAL on Facebook and join the conversation. A beautiful Friday afternoon as you take a live look over Lake Gaston this afternoon. You're watching WRAL News, available on Hulu and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device. The FDA approved a generic form of the abortion pill mifepristone. The move allows 3 U.S. companies to now produce the pill. The pill is approved to end pregnancies through 10 weeks. Mifepristone was first cleared 25 years ago, and the FDA authorized another generic back in 2019. Well, the Raleigh Police Department unveiled its newest way to show support in the fight against breast cancer. The department will have a pink police cruiser on patrol for the rest of the month. Pink is the official color of breast cancer awareness, and October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Health leaders joined Raleigh Police for the announcement to encourage regular screenings. It is so important. Well, let's face it, waiting in line is not on the top 10 list of things that people want to do, but it turns out that it might be good for you. For the most part, standing in a line comes with a combination of stress, anxiety, frustration, and boredom. But experts say it's important to reframe waiting. A new study suggests using that time as an opportunity for you to pause, reflect, and reset. Just relax. It strengthens self-control, helping you resist short-term temptations.
Try to be mindful about what your intention is for the day and have goals that you set. And also think about 3 things you're grateful for in that time frame. And all those practices can really help you refocus your frustrated energy into really productive energy.
So the next time you are stuck in traffic or in a line, switch your mindset. Pause and reflect on the good things in life. Coming up, APPS no longer available. We will tell you, or apps, I should say, no longer available. We'll tell you why Apple is dropping apps that track the movement of ICE agents and the reaction from critics. Also, speaking of technology, ever wonder about the value of open AI? We'll break down in dollars and cents when our news continues.
Our new news continues here in the WRAL Live Center as we stay on top of this story of the arrest of this former Raleigh police officer, Tremel Cogdell. SBI agents arrested him on the 26th of September, following up on an incident that happened on September 12th involving somebody at a call when he showed up for a call for DWI. He's charged with a number of crimes, including sex with a government employee, a government worker, and a private person for feloniously engaging in a sexual act with someone in his custody. He's also charged with obstruction of justice for failing to file charges and conduct the investigation in a DWI investigation. According to a press conference that happened just a short time ago, Chief Boyce says Officer Cogdell took this person back to his home where that sexual encounter happened. Chief Boyce expressed his frustration and disappointment just a short time ago.
I want to applaud the victim for coming forward in this case and offer my heartfelt support to her, her family, and to anyone who has been affected by this deeply disturbing incident. What has happened is not only troubling, it is disgraceful. I am angry and disheartened, both as a police chief and as a member of this community.
Again, Officer Cogdell is accused of sexual acts with a person in his custody and for failing to file charges and conduct a DWI investigation. According to Chief Boyce, he was part of the downtown unit. He was hired back in 2022. He was currently being processed at the Wake County Detention Center. And according to Chief Boyce, he was terminated from the Raleigh Police Office Department today.
All right, Ken, thank you for that. Well, Apple has removed apps used by anti-ICE activists after pressure from the Trump administration. ICE Block and similar apps are no longer available on the App Store. The Justice Department said the app could increase risk of assaults on ICE agents. The move by Apple could further raise concerns about ties between tech companies and the Trump administration. Well, a statue of President Donald Trump and sex offender Jeffrey Epstein is back on the National Mall. The statue, named Best Friends Forever, depicts President Trump and Epstein holding hands, each with a foot kicked back. Trump has denied having had a close relationship with Epstein. The National Park Service removed it last week, saying it was not compliant with the permit issued. The statue's return was issued on September 30th before the federal shutdown. Well, the state fair starts in 2 weeks, and a local bus system has you covered. Go Durham announced it'll offer rides directly to the fairgrounds this year. It is first come, first served, and the transit system will have at least a dozen buses going each way every day. The rides are free. And changes to the state fair this year include new bathrooms and dozens of new food options. You can see what else to expect at this year's fair on WRAL.com. And that fair will be here before we know it. All right, let's get over to meteorologist Elizabeth Garter in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. We're still tracking the tropics, Elizabeth.
We are. Everything is fairly quiet at the moment. Of course, we have seen Imelda and Umberto just fizzle out to low pressure systems and move on away. But still, we're seeing some impacts along the Outer Banks that will last into the weekend. There's still a high surf advisory, a coastal flood warning 2 to 3 feet above normal flooding in some places. Of course, there's been so much trouble at Buxton there on Hatteras Island. 8 homes falling into the water just this week. And even with those storms pulling away, you might still find parts of Highway 12 closed. We may not see any more overwash, but they're still working to get some of that open. It's not going to be a place that you necessarily want to visit, especially Hatteras Island, where the beaches are just covered in debris from all those homes. And of course, the rip current risk along the Outer Banks is high. Our southern beaches are anywhere from moderate to high, but anywhere really south of Atlanta Atlantic Beach. The weather is going to be so nice up and down the coast. There was no damage there. It's going to be a great weekend to be at the beach. Again, you just want to kind of stay away from the Outer Banks. 10% chance that we see another system develop in the Bahamas and move across Florida, but that's a fairly small chance. The chance of this system developing into something tropical continues to go up from 30% this morning to 40% by around the middle of the morning. So that continues to go up. Around here, it's just going to be a gorgeous weekend. Of course, we have the wide open Raleigh Music Festival downtown. Look at that. The stage is all set up. That begins a little bit later on this evening and continues through Saturday. Saturday is going to be great for football games, home games at Carolina and State. Carolina plays Clemson, noon kickoff, 70 degrees. But keep in mind that you're tailgating. Temperatures are going to be in the 60s in the morning on Saturday. So sweatshirts for sure. And then NC State hosts Campbell at 2 o'clock, feeling great at 76 degrees, lots of sunshine. Dix Park is having a fall festival, and weather will be great for that. I believe that starts at around 10 o'clock. Temperatures in the mid 60s, and we'll see highs in the upper 70s during the afternoon. And I don't even think I would have time to even list all of the festivals and all of the activities that are happening across our area this weekend. Nice and dry this weekend, but the next weather maker is a cold front that arrives on Wednesday. Out ahead of it, we could have some showers and storms late on Tuesday, but this will definitely bring us our next best chance of rain. 30% chance on Tuesday and about a 50% chance on Wednesday, and maybe even lingering into Thursday. Of course, we started the week with some tropical type moisture, but we didn't see very much of that in our eastern counties. So when the drought monitor came out yesterday, all of our eastern counties, for the most part, at least have some sort of moderate drought. So not good news there. The rest of our viewing area abnormally dry. So we do still need to see some rain. And it looks like we'll have a chance of that again, especially Wednesday when that front comes through. In the meantime, the weekend looks beautiful. Hopefully you can get outside and enjoy it.
All right. Thanks, Elizabeth. Ever wonder about the value of OpenAI? We'll break it down in dollars and cents when our noon news continues. As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we are following today, including a Raleigh police officer arrest. Sean Gallagher has more on that, Sean.
Yeah, Raleigh police just wrapped up a press conference where they announced that Tremail Cogdell has been